Contemporary models of learning assessment, which are dominated by standardized testing, are based on a mechanistic, reductionist understanding of what it means to be human. Classical Lutheran education, in contrast, views each human being as made in the image of God, seeking to facilitate an education and assessment of it that is appropriate to creatures made in God's image. What exactly are the standardized tests measuring? They do not measure human persons. Being able to simply regurgitate facts and approved opinions gives little insight into understanding, skills, or the ability to perceive and appreciate the wonder of God's creation. For example, contemporary testing, filling in the bubbles and the blanks and teaching to the test, trains students in black and white thinking to use predetermined and approved answers and words. In 1984, George Orwell describes newspeak and the destruction of words. He argues that removing shades of meaning narrows range of thought, which in turn reduces consciousness. The more words we have, the better we are able to express ourselves, and ultimately the better able we are to know and express truth, goodness, and beauty, transcendental principles that overarch all things and by which reality is governed. In Norms and Nobility, David Hicks writes that the purpose of education is not the assimilation of facts or the retention of information, but the habituation of the mind and body to will and act in accordance with what one knows. If one knows truth, goodness, and beauty, one can express that knowledge in daily action throughout life. So why do we use these reductionist mechanistic means of assessment? For one thing, we use them as a crutch. We like to believe they are objective, even though we know that they by necessity contain obvious biases. They are looking for the predetermined answers, not really for the independent answers students might give. They are easy to create and even easier to evaluate. Machines can do it, making them efficient, even if ineffective measurements. We like to believe they indicate mastery so that we may feel secure in doing our work as teachers. And finally, there is an enormously profitable industry in education built around and invested in such testing and supported and encouraged by governmental agencies. There are more reasons, but for these alone, we should consider assessment that is biblical and humane. First, to be humane is to be biblical. After all, we are made imago Dei. Second, such assessment grasps who a human being is, comprehends our place in the world, and values human relationships. Thirdly, it is appropriate to who people are. Would we use the same training on dog that we would on a child? We may use some aspects of behavioral training on a child, but we would not stop there. What are some examples of meaningful assessment? There are many ways of assessing meaningfully: impromptu debates or speeches, portfolios, history projects, assessing lab notebooks, writing an essay or giving an oral exam, or teaching something to another person. Assessment should be a tool for insight, not judgment. For teachers, yes, as a tool for knowing where knowledge and skills may be strengthened, but also for students to know how to do assessment themselves and to have insight into themselves. As the famous Socratic dictum goes, to know themselves. Testing hones skills and assesses where learning is and where it can be improved. It is not an end in itself. Yet our children are souls to be nurtured, not products to be measured. Biblical and humane assessment furthers learning rather than being the end goal of learning.